Okay, Nick, let's now focus on a massive game in the top four race. Newcastle against Tottenham. Your team, Newcastle, I mean, this is huge for them. Lost at Villa last time out. Are we going to see a reaction from them? And Spurs, they lost at home against Bournemouth last time out, which is a huge surprise. So going into this weekend, Newcastle 3 points ahead of Tottenham. They have a game in hand as well. So Eddie Howe's boys are in a pretty comfortable position there against Tottenham. But my question before we go into the details of this game in particular is who needs the top finish for more this season? I've been in the past saying Spurs, it's probably better for them to not finish in the top four so they can have a proper clear out, a proper rebuild. But for Newcastle, I don't know if this season kind of fits into the category of we have to do it because this is perhaps our best chance with Chelsea struggling, with Liverpool struggling. It may not be as easy as this, even if they spend a lot in the coming seasons to finish in the top four. So it's almost like this is your chance. Grab it with both hands. Is that how you feel with Newcastle?
Yeah. First of all, I won't be disappointed. Well, I will be disappointed. I won't be crushed if they don't make it. I think the project was to get back into the European conversation this year. I predicted them to finish 8th or 9th, and I would have thought, oh, okay, that shows me you're going on the right direction. Because we've seen teams, not quite this much, right? But we've seen teams spend. I think back to, remember when QPR was going to be the big spender? I don't know if you remember that. They were going to be the next big thing. And we've seen those projects falter. So I was just looking for a step of progress. I think getting in Europe is a success. And I think they will get in Europe. I still think they may finish top 4. However, I think Harry Kane I really do. I think he wants to stay at Tottenham. I think he wants to set all of their records and make them unbreakable. I think he wants to give Tottenham a trophy. I think he realizes that while he has a couple years of being top end left, the odds are that at some point he's going to not be at, I might score 30 goals when healthy form. And for him to realistically continue to stay there and for Tottenham to grow, that means the project has to stay in the Champions League. Because if they're not going to sell him, they're not going to have the budget to do a full clear out. So it's one of two things. Either one, you keep Harry Kane and you're in the Champions League, so players want to come play with him, or you sell him and you rebuild. And there is just no guarantee anymore, especially with Tottenham's investment. We're seeing with Villa and with Brighton what you can do by spending smartly, but spending quite a bit and developing your players. If Tottenham falls out, I don't know that they're getting the players they need to automatically be a top 4 contender.
Yeah, you're right. It's so this game this weekend is huge in terms of determining the next step, I think, for both of these projects. For Newcastle, I feel like if, like you said, they're way ahead of schedule, but if they get in the top 4 this season, that will allow them to bring in a whole different caliber of player this summer and just be so much. It's already an attractive proposition with the money involved and the wages they can offer, but it just goes up another level. So I feel like it's difficult. It's probably 50-50. The question sort of being who is it most important for to finish in the top 4? I think it's equal. I think it's equally important for both of these teams and their project, right? For like you said, some great points there on Spurs, but Newcastle still will in the future have financials to spend and to get back in that position, right? So,
well, here's the thing though, Joe, with Newcastle, what would be incredibly beneficial to them is now you're going to be able to spend and you're going to be able to promise the Champions League. And I think that puts you a step above. Honestly, this might sound crazy. I wish Andy was here. I feel like he'll be a better litmus test for me. You might be agreeable and not shout me down. If Newcastle makes the Champions League and finishes top 4, is this a more attractive club to join than Liverpool at the moment?
I knew you were going to say that.
Did you?
Yeah. I get in there. It's getting there. I still think Jurgen Klopp has a factor in terms of players wanting to play for him. And the history of Liverpool, obviously Newcastle has a great history, but Liverpool's history speaks for itself.
Of course.
It's getting there. They can do something similar to what Liverpool perhaps have done with that investment. I think they can get to that level as a club. There's no doubt about that. But it will take a long time and sustained investment, which it looks like there's going to be.
Oh, yeah. I strictly mean short term. The Anfield ghost is a powerful monster.
Yeah. And, even if you look at Chelsea and kind of the situation there, long term, they might figure it out. But short term, Newcastle is going to be a much more attractive proposition. So, yeah, it's exciting times for Newcastle. But this one is massive against Tottenham. And what do you expect? Do you expect sort of in midfield for them to overrun Spurs. Spurs have got some issues defensively. We've seen that against Bournemouth last week. Do you think, Newcastle was so off it against Villa, it was just maybe a one-off? It was a bit of a strange one. Do you think that we're going to see, St James's Park roaring, inspiring them and saying, if we want to finish in the top 4 and finish this brilliant season off, this is the game they really have to win, right? To put, they'll be 6 points ahead of Spurs and have a game in hand of them with a handful of games to go. So it feels like everything that's building for Newcastle this season to this 190 minutes.
It definitely does. To me, I actually kind of favor Spurs to get a positive result here. And the reason is, first of all, Harry Kane. I just, every time I'm watching this guy, he's on another level. And I think maybe last year I don't want to say overcredited, but we over appreciated Spurs because he also had Son finishing every chance that he got. And this year it's been a little bit more of a, listen, Son is nice, but this is Harry Kane. I think the way that Sven Botman has played this year has been amazing, and Nick Pope as well, but both of them are probably in about a 2-3 week to a month span where they haven't been at their very best. And that's an opening for Harry Kane. And when you throw in the fact that right now I think teams have figured out a little bit how to play Bruno Guimaraes, because there's a midfield piece that's missing there. There's a midfield piece that is going to arrive in the summer and give Bruno a better chance to be that Kevin De Bruyne type player. But right now, teams have figured out how to make him have to be more responsible, and the goals have dried up a little bit. So I think Tottenham in this position, it'll be down to Tottenham to lose this rather than for Newcastle to win it.
I can see a draw. Probably it'll be
100%. Yeah.
And that's a good result for Newcastle, all things considered. I think so. Tottenham will be a bit more desperate. But you're right, Harry Kane. If we weren't talking so much about Erling Haaland, we would be talking about Harry Kane's season, because the rate he's scoring at still is, in a very average Spurs team, let's put it that way, is pretty incredible to see how he's carried them throughout this campaign, especially with Son being off form as well. What's your prediction then for this game? You said Tottenham earlier are your favourites. Are you going with them?
I'm going to go with 1-1. The one guy that I didn't mention is Alexander Isak, and he has done some really special things. I think he was crowned Premier League, at least fans player of the month or something like that. He is the sort of, with his size and explosiveness, I think he's a real problem for what has ailed Tottenham this year.
I'm going to go 2-1 to Tottenham. For some reason, the more we talked about it, it's just, I think maybe this is a game where they just turn up, and I still think that there are some gaps there in that Newcastle defence, as we saw against Villa last week. And Trippier, as good as he's been, and Dan Burn, as good as he's been, sometimes it is still kind of easy to get in behind them. And Tottenham, the way they play, getting crosses into the box, you feel like Kane's going to finish off a few. But it's going to be a great atmosphere at St James's Park. Newcastle against Tottenham. Massive, massive battle in the top 4 race. Head over to Pro Soccer Talk on NBCSports.com for all the information on how to watch, team news, preview, analysis during the game, and video highlights. We'll have you covered. Newcastle and Spurs, which one is going to finish in the top 4? Maybe both, but seems like right now the outcome of this game on Sunday is going to be pivotal in deciding which of these teams, if any, is playing in the Champions League next season.
Hi there, I'm Rebecca Lowe, studio host for NBC's coverage of the Premier League. Don't forget to hit subscribe to watch more videos all season long. For even more Premier League content, from original series to live matches, head over to Peacock and be sure to tune in for Premier League mornings every weekend on USA Network and on Peacock. We will see you over there.